Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. We're back after the problems yesterday and we're flying into the latest Manchester United transfer news with that real fan opinion. And we're going to start off with Tanguy Ndombele. Look, the reality is, I was talking about this yesterday, that the bookies have Spurs as favourites to get Ndombele. Now, I monitor Premier League football like many of you do, and I had no idea that Spurs were in for a player of this quality. And I'll tell you what, he would really improve Spurs. So many Manchester United fans saying we've got to hijack this deal, we've got to get involved in it. I'll tell you what, as much as he may be favourite to go to Spurs, that worries me and it also appeases me, because I think I've not really heard of anything about him going to Spurs. And then it makes me think, well, maybe there is a chance to go and get him. I've always felt, in relation to what Lyon's president said about Juventus and PSG, that they were the more likely outcomes for him. However, there are some interesting comments from Ndombele that may put our hopes to rest that he'd come to Manchester United. He's basically been on French duty, as we know, playing alongside Paul Pogba the other day against Bosnia, and played absolutely fantastic, and a lot of United fans were like, well, this is what we could get out of Pogba. I think we all know that's what you could get out of Pogba. If you put quality players next to Paul Pogba, you will get a better Paul Pogba. And when I say quality, I don't mean Matic, I don't mean Fred, I don't mean McTominay, I don't mean Pereira. They're four players that should be playing for Everton. I mean top quality players, and that's where Ndombele's path is going to go. Those other lads that we've got around Pogba, our midfield, now Herrera's gone, it's Pogba top class and the rest of them mid-table class. That's the harsh reality. We need to start facing up to these harsh realities. Liverpool won the Champions League. Man City won the domestic treble. We have to face up to the reality that making do or passion merchants aren't enough. You need top quality. And I'm just going to be blunt about that from now on. So your Freds, your McTominays, your Matic, your Pereiras, I'm sorry, I might like some of you, but I haven't seen anything in your quality that makes me think that Man City and Liverpool would even let you into their training ground for a tour. So forget about it. But Ndombele, I would welcome him into my midfield. And we need two. Imagine if we got Rabiot and Ndombele. But the point is, Ndombele did speak after the game and he said, look, in relation to my future, I don't know at the moment. I need to speak with the new regime at Lyon, because there has been some changes there. But ultimately, I might stay at Lyon. They're in the Champions League. Now, that's the point that worried me a little bit. They're in the Champions League. We're not in the Champions League. So for him to mention the Champions League, it shows how important the Champions League is to him. And obviously we can't offer that. But also in a wider sense, it shows us as United fans that footballers do value playing in the Champions League. And if that is on option, then there you go. And if Spurs and United are offering for a player, then Spurs can offer them Champions League. I mean, that's how bad it's become at Manchester United, isn't it? That we are now potentially going to miss out on players to Spurs. And no disrespect to Spurs, over the last 6 years, they've been far more successful than we have. I know they've won nothing, but realistically, I think people put too much value on trophies. We've won an FA Cup, a Europa League, a Carabao Cup, and Spurs have won nothing. But they've been in a Champions League final. They've basically fought for the title nearly as well. So, Spurs, what I'm saying is Spurs at the moment in time are a club that is far more stable and successful than we have been, I would say. So let's see what happens with Ndombele, but I think the Champions League factor might be a problem for us. With regards to Bruno Fernandes, now he has made, this is the thing, I don't think we're going to sign anybody until at least next week. I'll be very surprised if we sign anybody this week because of internationals, and I'm trying to think of players that we've got that are not that we want to buy that are not involved in international fixtures, and I don't think there are any. You maybe can get in the comments if you can think of any. I presume people like Declan Rice, I think they might be part of the under-21s, I don't know, or maybe even the seniors. But Bruno Fernandes is part of the Portuguese setup. There was talk last week that United were going to sign Bruno Fernandes. It was going to happen this week. It was going to happen before the Nations League game on Wednesday. He was going to be allowed to leave, But actually, he's come out with quotes. He spoke positively about Liverpool over the weekend, and they were odds on to get him with the bookies. However, he's spoken about Manchester United and Manchester City, and what I basically said is Man City are doing fantastically well at the moment. They're winning leagues, etc. But Manchester United are a big club with the history. But then he went on to say about Bernardo Silva and how playing with him would be fantastic and certainly make lives easier. And I think that, to me, I've always felt that United would sign Bruno Fernandes because I know that Manchester United want to sign Bruno Fernandes. But I also said if he goes to Man City, it's not that we can't say we weren't in for him, because I know we're in for Bruno Fernandes and I want us to get Bruno Fernandes. And if Man City get him, I'd have to applaud it and say well done. But his comments there sort of like, if he'd said that about Pogba, I'd be like, yeah, we're going to get him. So at the moment, I feel that maybe he's he's more of a Man City thing. However, it could just come down to bids, and if United put a better bid in, then do you get that situation whereby, I think this happened with Alexis Sanchez as well. The offer that United put in for Arsenal was far superior to what Man City did. So we might be in a situation where we say to Sporting Lisbon that we offer 80 million and Man City don't want to go above 60, and then that's how we get him. But we'll have to wait and see on Bruno Fernandes. But those quotes, he spoke positively about United. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but to mention a player of Man City's and say what it'd be like to play with him, and of course Bernardo Silva is with him in the Portuguese setup at this moment in time. We haven't got anybody there, so it's a little bit of concern. It's a bit like De Ligt, isn't it? De Ligt's with the Dutch squad at the moment. Koeman's the national coach. There's talk about Koeman being the next Barcelona coach. Frankie de Jong's there as well. What United players are part of the Dutch setup to be saying come to United? So it can have an impact, which is why I wish we were seriously in for Jadon Sancho, because Jadon Sancho is with Lingard and Rashford at the moment. So they could actually do something positive for once and get us a top class player at United, but that doesn't look likely, does it? Richarlison, I'm just going to mention Richarlison. A lot of you've mentioned Richarlison. I don't see this deal happening at all, but he again another player with his national squad at the moment with Brazil. He was asked about interest from other clubs. Manchester United were mentioned. I think an Italian club was mentioned. He said it's nice, but I'm happy where he is. He's only been at Everton for a year. I've valued him at £70 million there because I think Everton paid 35 million, but it can rise to 50. So if Everton were going to let him go after a year, they'd want to make profit on that themselves. So I'd say £70 million. I don't see us getting Richarlison, but looks much like James Maddison last night. He is outside the top 6. He would be in the team of the year. If you take away United, Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea out of the league, and you had your best 11, Richarlison would be in there, James Maddison would be in there, Harry Maguire would be in there. So he's a good player, Richarlison. He's only just 22. I don't know, it just might be how he looks. I'm 59 and I look like I'm 21, but Richarlison, to me, looks like he's about 27, but apparently he's only just turned 22. So really, I think that's probably something that's maybe made me think actually it might not be such a, if he's got that progression in him. I really thought he was like 27, but I don't see United being able to do that deal. If I'm in all honesty, I really don't think that we would. And I think United, it's the sort of player that we're just getting linked to because United get linked to everybody at the moment, and that's just the way it is in the transfer window. Also, I just want to talk to you about Maddison last night. Really did make me start thinking about something, which is what if this quote about United needing, wanting British players is actually true, and you start to think about who United are looking at. We know Daniel James is probably going to sign. We know we wanted Jadon Sancho, but obviously he's not interested in coming when we're not in the Champions League and we're unstable. But James Maddison, Harry Maguire, Declan Rice, Wan-Bissaka. If we focus on these sort of players, it's going to be very interesting because they're going to come at a price. But I think it's a good and a bad thing. I don't think you should close your mind off to Europe because, it's very Brexit, isn't it? But we shouldn't close our mind off to European talent just to focus on young British talent, because there's plenty of examples of European talent that's come into British Premier League sides and provided them with that winning mentality and effort. In fact, to be honest with you, if you look at United and I look at Mata, Herrera and De Gea, their attitude and professionalism is far better than some of our British players. So I think it's a little bit naive to think you've got to go and get British talent. Having said that, you look at Liverpool, you've got Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold as the fullbacks, you've got Henderson and Milner. That mixture is a good thing. And so maybe that's what we're looking at, some top British talent. But I think you've also, I wouldn't close your mind off to a Ruben Neves, like Wolves got him, and there are other players out there that we should be looking at. So I hope that we're not just exclusively looking at British talent, because I think that would be a bit of a mistake for us. Talking about that, Kieran Trippier has spoken after the Champions League final about he doesn't know what his future is going to be. I really hope it's not Manchester United. I liked him at the World Cup, and he's got a good ball delivery, but I think we would. I know our stance is anybody but Ashley Young at right back, but I think that would soon dissipate very, very very, very quickly. Because Ashley Young's bad, but if you bring in a right back that's not as good, that's better but still not that good, he's still going to get criticism. What we need is it can't be anybody but Ashley Young. What we should be looking at is a top class right back, which brings me back to Meunier, who we've spoken about a few times. Now, Meunier is odds on to go to Manchester United or Arsenal, like we know, 25 million. He's a Manchester United fan, which would be great. I like Thomas Meunier. A lot of people have been critical of him. A lot of Arsenal fans don't want him. A lot of United fans don't want him. He's going to be 28 very, very soon. He's tall. I think he's 6'3". He's very, very, very good going forward. He's got a good delivery. But a lot of people think defensively he's not that good. But, you know, I really do rate him. But anyway, there was a lot of talk about him coming to Manchester United. But his latest quotes basically repeat what he said a couple of weeks ago. Is that he wants to stay in Paris, and, you know, there's talks of a new contract. So maybe that's not going to happen now. But I would be very happy with him. I would. I think Dalot is a player that I think people are sleeping on a little bit. I think Dalot has sort of become a bit of the forgotten man. He's sort of getting lumped in with Fred. But when you think about Dalot and some of the glimpses he's shown for a 19-year-old, I think Dalot in 2 years is only going to be 21, and I think he can be I really do think Dalot's got the potential to be a top-class right-back, and I think for United, that's what we should be looking to develop. He's probably not quite ready yet, but Ashley Young certainly can't be that filling gap for now. So I think Meunier would have perfectly fit the bill, really, for United for a couple of years, but maybe not. Maybe that's not going to happen, and that's a bit of a shame. Darmian has been linked with Inter Milan. Matteo Darmian, I mean, we've got to sell him this summer. I mean, I think I've been saying for the last 2 years now, surely Darmian's going to go. Surely he will go this summer, get about 13 million quid for him and move him on. It amazes me that he's still at the club, really. So that would be a good positive for United. Lots of talk again around Paul Pogba and whether he'll leave Manchester United. I can only reiterate what I think about Pogba, and that is that I don't think he's going to leave Manchester United. I don't. I think, I think, as I said, there's 4 strands to this. Zidane wants Pogba. I mean, what you got to remember with Zidane is he never should have gone back to Real Madrid. You know, he walked away having won 3 Champions Leagues. Why would you go back to Real Madrid? He went back to Real Madrid because Real Madrid were in trouble and they offered him something to come back. You wouldn't just go, I'll come back because you're in trouble. They offered him something, and I'm sure he would have said, I don't want to come back. What would it take for you to come back? Well, I'll come back if you get me this, this, this and this. And I'm pretty sure Pogba was one of the names mentioned, but I don't think it can happen this summer. So I think Zidane wants Pogba. I think Pogba wants to go to Real Madrid and play for Zidane. I mean, I can't blame him for that. Oh, go and play in a nice warm climate with one of the best managers in the world, one of the best teams in the world, who are constantly in the Champions League, with far, far better players around me. Yeah, I'd quite fancy that. So I think Pogba wants to go as well. But Manchester United don't want to sell, and I don't think Real Madrid can afford the package. So all this talk of Real Madrid offering players up, I mean, you can forget your Bales, you can forget your Keylor Navas, you can forget whatever crap you want to throw up. You either chuck us a Varane, or you forget about it. That's how I feel about that. So I just don't think Pogba will go. De Gea, on the other hand, you know what? It won't surprise me if he stays, because I've been saying this for years. This has probably been the most relaxed I've been about De Gea in the last 3 or 4 years at United. But it's probably the most likely one he'll go. He's got 1 year left on his contract. If he refuses to sign a contract, we'll lose him for free. I know losing for Herrera for free is embarrassing, but I don't think we can afford to lose De Gea for free. I think it would be ultimately appalling, because he's going to be in his prime and he's comfortably one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So something's got to happen this summer. I hope that it's him signing a new contract, but I think it's all going to kick off next week with that, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, get your comments in below. What are your thoughts about Ndombele, Bruno Fernandes? Do you feel that we can get those deals done, or are they deals that are slipping away from us? Richarlison, anything in that? Meunier, what do you think about Thomas Meunier? Because for me, I understand why people want Wan-Bissaka, but I think people are being very, very naive about the qualities of Diogo Dalot. I think he's a fantastic lad. I think, you know, he's got the right physique. He's only 19 years of age. I think he can be absolutely top class. How's he going to develop if we bring Wan-Bissaka in? You know, how's that going to work? So that's why Meunier made a lot of sense as far as I was concerned. And yeah, smash a like on the video. What are your thoughts on Pogba and De Gea as well? I meant to ask you that. Out of those 2 players, are they both going to go? Are they both going to stay? Is one going to go? One going to stay? Get your comments in below. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new.